services. We'll be looking into having the YouTube videos with subtitles, not only in Spanish, but in different languages. Any questions, please connect with Supervisor Mosillo's office, 707-565-1776. Quiero dejar saber que la política para interpretación ha cambiado a partir de la semana pasada. Ahora, si requiere interpretación, se va a requerir que se pida por lo menos 72 horas con anticipación para que se puedan tener intérpretes. Lo que sí queremos dejar saber es que de cualquier manera los videos van a estar disponibles en varios idiomas, incluyendo el español con subtítulos. We will now continue to roll call, and I would like to invite Vice Chair Fernandez. She can support with roll call tonight. Thank you. Okay, then we have Councilmember Ikrama. Okay, and Councilmember Dong.
Present.
Okay. And just want to remind everyone that this is a hybrid meeting, so we do apologize if there's any technical issues out of our control. This will be broadcasted on Sonoma TV, and as well, the community is able to access through Zoom at this moment. And so just remember that we have specific allotted times for each item, so we try our best to stick to those times. And if any of the council member thinks that we're going over, please feel free to serve as a timekeeper to make sure that we are on top of it. Again, thank you to Sonoma TV for broadcasting and tech support, Lynn Marie for a minute taking, to the County of Sonoma, especially tonight to ISD Ross, who's helping us with some tech support, so we can make sure that we have meeting here in the East County Services Conference Room. To Supervisor Mosillo for facility use. And just remind everyone that all the council members are volunteers. None of us are getting paid for this, and we do it for the love for our community. I will now continue to item 3, which is chair announcements. The first and foremost is that we do want to thank our Councilmember Dong, who today will be his last meeting. He has chosen not to get reappointed, but we want to thank him so much for everything that he did, his contributions with many topics, including from just like housing issues, emergency preparedness, just a wide range of knowledge. And he will be greatly missed, and we truly thank him and always welcome him to come be a volunteer for any events or come and give public comment. Councilmember Dong, thank you for everything. You'll be greatly missed. And in terms of other information, we will be looking today into just a brief overview of January priorities as well as yearly priorities, looking also into discussing Larson Park, the reopening of Larson Park, and just looking into that there's an opportunity, to be able to do a celebration, that the Springs Mecca can participate with the support of the Supervisor Mosillo's office, as well as County Parks and Recs. So we are truly excited about that. So we do want to invite the council to self-identify if anybody wants to be the lead council member or council members to move forward this idea. The general vision for this event, looking at something like a small celebration, community celebration, would be something like having food, resource tabling, activities for kids, Parks and Recs participation, any other ideas for a celebration. And a general timing for this is they're looking probably finishing Larson Park around probably early spring. So stay tuned, but just do want to put it on the table for council members to think what ideas and if anybody wants to take the lead in coordinating this with Supervisor Hermosillo's office. And once we identify a lead, then there will be, as mentioned, the Parks and Recs and the county office or supervisors staff will be in support. So this will be a collaboration of community, not a single task for the MAC. So this was a receive only item, but we do want to, if you have any comments about the topic that we just spoke about, Larson Park.
Through the chair, also mention the two or three
Yes.
positions now that will be open.
Yes. Think it was here, okay, perfect. Yes. Sorry, there's two papers falling, two papers. Thank you. Yes. Yes, we will be having two vacancies. So it'll be alternate vacancies. So if anyone is interested in applying to be a council member, you can send an email to District 1. That's one with the number 1, sonomacounty.gov, and you shall receive an application. And again, any questions can be also through email or call Supervisor Hermosillo's office. Just another quick just chair note is with the GMSR radio trainings that were done in the late fall or in was it November, December. There will be a second batch of radios that will be they're being programmed. We've had a lot of interest in people wanting to know about another training dates, as well as people who attended the training that have neighbors that they're willing to train. So stay tuned because more dates will come. And in addition, more radios once their program will be available at Supervisor Hermosillo's office. Yes.
Through the chair.
Yes.
On that note, we also want to acknowledge and be very proud of the fact that our chair, Mayor Carmen Reyes, won the Louis Petrika Emergency Management Award that was presented today by the County Department of Emergency Management at the Emergency Coordinators Forum. This award honors an individual, group, or program for their outstanding commitment to emergency management and is named after the grandfather of emergency management in Sonoma County, Pete.
I think it's Petrika.
Petrika.
That's how I heard mentioned.
I know. And I wanted to read a little bit because I was reading through it and I thought how amazing that you got this 2-page acknowledgement, but if just for us to get a glimpse of what they wrote about our chair. Nomination, Mayor Carmen Reyes has become one of the most trusted and passionate voices for emergency preparedness and resilience in Sonoma County, including the Springs and beyond. Her work bridges language, culture, and community, ensuring that every resident, especially those in the Spanish-speaking and underserved areas of the community of the county, have access to critical emergency information and the routes to act when disaster strikes. Mayor Carmen's dedication to emergency management took root after the devastating 2017 wildfires. The experience made her aware of the needs of the unincorporated and linguistically isolated communities in Sonoma County. She saw firsthand how language barriers and limited access to information could endanger lives, and she committed herself to changing that reality. Since then, she has worked tirelessly to make preparedness inclusive, accessible, and community-driven. So they acknowledge the many leadership roles she's taken in not only creating the map, your neighborhood program, community program and groups, along with other initiatives that she's taken part of in leading here in the county and beyond. So I just wanted to recognize her. Congratulations.
Thank you, Betsy. Yeah, and I do want to acknowledge that all this work, in addition to my job, my employment, a lot of the majority of this work has been done through the Springs Municipal Advisory Council. When we created their first emergency ad hoc in 2021. And out of that ad hoc, we created the Springs MAC, created the Springs Mapper Neighborhood Group. And at one point, it was funded a collaboration with another nonprofit. But the idea was born out of the Springs MAC with former supervisor and with the current and the support of the current supervisor. So, and acknowledging also our prior chair, Maite Turri, and Dana Bravo, who also was running the Mapper Neighborhood, well as former council member Lombard, who also had a lot of contribution, and as mentioned, the former staff as well for former Supervisor Gorin. So this is all a team effort. It's a community effort that we couldn't do without each other. And thank you to everyone, because I couldn't do this without anyone. We're all team. And we are in the Springs, which is actually one of the most hazardous areas for an earthquake, and reason why UASI, which is the Urban Area Securities Initiative, chose the Springs because of the springs or the water underneath this area, making it the most 96% vulnerability for earthquake, which I think we felt it a little bit on December 14th. So thanks again. Go ahead.
Yes, Chair Reyes, could you clarify a little bit about what you meant of radio and training? Can you
yes.
clarify what that program is? 'Cause I
So
catch.
So the GMSR, which is it's general I was confused. It's like GRMS. Yes. Yeah, GMRS. Thank you, Councilmember Dong. So it's basically they're radios, mobile radios that communities, members, neighborhoods can connect. You have to be on the same channel, literally, to be able to communicate. And so the radio waves can go up to 2 miles if they're in an open area, like from here, maybe going towards as long as there's no mountains in the way. They're also looking at doing repeaters over on Sonoma Mountain, which literally there's a channel called the Sonoma Mountain Channel, which they're looking into hopefully having then communication from people through the radio to talking to people up in Kenwood. So once repeaters will be available, that people will be able to communicate at least from 30 to 60 miles, as long as there's no mountains as barriers.
And question, is this for emergency situations or what is the purpose?
Yes. Yes. Well, this was, as mentioned, this was a collaboration between the Department of Emergency Management, Fire Safe Sonoma, the Springs MAC, and we did the trainings, which we did mention them here. It's basically for community members to have radios at home so that if there's no Wi-Fi, there's no cell phone service, then they can at least communicate with their neighbors. One of the goals is to be able to create neighborhood networks. So in addition to creating another training, the groups that already got trained, their next steps will be to be able to do practice test runs within their neighborhood, so that when a real disaster does occur, they already know how to handle, how to move the radios in case it truly happened. It's like kind of like muscle memory. Could remember when if there's a real disaster, you know how you actually use it, and I hope that
Thank you.
yeah.
That clarifies.
Yes, and more radios will be coming. So if anyone here is interested that wasn't able to get one, and we're looking at neighborhoods, whether it's residential or businesses, whether it's a small business or big business, we want to make sure that the Springs is ready, but also anyone else that lives in Sonoma Valley is welcome to also obtain a radio. So it's not only for the Springs, though the inspiration was done from the Springs because of the vulnerability of the earthquake hazard for the Springs. Okay, so we're going to continue to, and I don't know, Mr. Councilmember Dong, if you wanted to say any words, your departure.
So I just want to thank Supervisor Gorin and Supervisor Hermosillo, and the staff, D1 staff, and my colleagues or I want to say partners in crime from the Springs MAC over the past 2 years. So I encourage anybody who's listening to join and be part of the community to help try to resolve some problems and provide feedback to the supervisors. It's a small community, but we want to make it tight knit and help our businesses thrive in this community. So thank you for all the work you do. It's a lot of commitment. I'm looking at two of my colleagues that are business owners and finding ways to keep us thriving. So thank you.
Thank you for your service, and you will be missed.
And indeed. So we will now continue to item 4, which is receive only public comment for public comment items not listed on the agenda. So we do invite anyone either in person or on Zoom that would like to provide public comment can go to the podium, state your name, and then we will have a time click a stopwatch timer for 3 minutes. And I believe so. If anyone will go first in person, and we will be doing a community events announcement as well. So if we can leave the community events for that, and that should be the next item. Okay, but for now we'll go just with other comments not on the agenda. Any in person? No. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Stating your name, ma'am.
Through the chair. So sorry, can you turn on the microphone? Thanks.
It says on.
There you go.
Okay, there we go.
There.
Okay.
Thank
that's
you.
it.
If you don't
Okay.
mind repeating, that would be
Sure.
amazing. Thank you.
My name is Lynn Sherrard Stewart, and I live in Fetters Hot Springs on Highland Boulevard. So I retired a few years ago, and my husband knew everybody in town, but I'm just kind of getting to know my neighbors. And Highland Boulevard is basically the fire road right up into the hills. And our road is a mess. And all the other roads in the Springs have been paved and ours hasn't. And we're thinking it's because it's not just paving. It's the fact that there's no drainage. The drainage is all messed up. And when my husband was alive, he would call literally twice a year for 30 years to have them do something about it. And they'd come out, Caltrans would come out, and then nothing would be done. So we were talking, a bunch of us neighbors are getting together. I've got a couple projects on my house that I'm hoping will impact on the rest of the block. I'm putting in a rain garden. I've been working with a couple groups around that because our drainage is such a problem, and that's part of the reason why the road's coming up. But obviously, we don't go anywhere with Caltrans. And so we just felt like this might be an opportunity for us to find out the best way. We're not expecting it to happen overnight, but at this point, for instance, like children can't ride their bikes down the street, and you watch mothers on there with their kids in the stroller and they're bouncing around, and it's just not safe. And there's an asbestos, my girlfriend works for OSHA, and there's an asbestos pipe that runs across the street in front of a couple houses across from my house. And it's just getting higher and higher and higher. So it's like maybe 4 or 5 inches of it is showing, and it's not functional. It doesn't work. So that's why I'm here tonight. And I plan to come regularly so I can get to know more about, what's going on here, just so you know.
Thank you so much. And I know that maybe we can have that, get back to her, Betsy, regarding the TPW, because it's the county responsible for that, for those streets, not Caltrans. I think it's Socopi. Yeah. What is it? Socopai's public infrastructure, correct? Yeah. Now TPW, which used to be like transportation or something, works, public works, is now public infrastructure, and they're the ones in charge of paving the streets for the county.
Through the chair.
Yes.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I can get your name and email address, and I can communicate with you. That way we can get this going. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I don't see any other in person. We will be doing community events next, but I believe we have one in online. Do we have a public comment online?
We sure do. Erica, if you don't mind unmuting and please state your name, you have 3 minutes for your public comment.
Sure. Hello, everyone, and thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Erica Tabot, and I'm the Director of Sonoma County Library. I'm here to let you know about some important feedback opportunities that we are seeking from residents in the Sonoma Valley in the Springs. We are developing a new 5-year strategic plan, and we're actively seeking broad community input to help guide our priorities and services. So we have a community survey which closes this Sunday. The community survey is available online at sonomalibrary.org/plan. It is available in English and Spanish. We also have paper surveys available at the Sonoma Valley Library, also in English and Spanish. And we have 2 in-person focus groups for Spanish-speaking and Latino residents. These are going to be at the La Luz Center. The first one is tomorrow at 12 p.m. at La Luz. We will have a translator available on site. And then we have a second session at the Roseland Regional Library in Roseland in Southwest Santa Rosa. That will be tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. These are not public meetings. They are by invitation only. So if people are concerned or fearful about attending these meetings, they are not public meetings. They are by invitation. So we will respect the privacy of the people who attend. So I just would like to let you all know that, and any assistance you can provide in promoting these is greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Erica, so much for reaching out. Yes. We also have shared on the Springs MAC page the survey, so that the community knows that they can provide feedback to the strategic plan. And thank you for letting us know. I believe we shared also the 2 different events, especially the one that's happening at La Luz tomorrow. So
Thank you so much.
yeah, thank you again. Yes, so library is so important in our community. So please can do the survey and let the library know what other services we need or spaces created inside library or resources. Any other Any other online?
No, online, just a reminder on
Just
what's on
for
the
the
screen.
Mentoring Alliance? Okay. Yes, so on behalf of the Sonoma Valley Mentoring Alliance, we will like to do a PSA or an announcement, it being January being a mentoring month. So it says we have a public service announcement for the Mentoring Alliance in honor of National Mentoring Month. Make a difference in a young person's life in a short amount of time. Be matched with one of the 60 kids on the waiting list. Your time is their future. Volunteer as a mentor and can call 707-938-1990 or go to sonomamentoring.org. Okay, thank you to the Mentoring Alliance for all they do in our community. If are there any questions or comments from council members before we close item? I see none. Oh, okay. We will then now go to item 4.2, which is community events. Thank you.
Hello, good evening, everybody. I'm going to speak in Spanish first and then translate my message in English. Ok, buenas noches, comunidad de Los Springs. Me llamo Mario, yo soy el asistente de la programa Senderos Naturales, nuestro programa bilingüe de Parque Estatal Sugarloaf Ridge, gestionado por el Centro de Ecología de Sonoma. Invitamos las familias latinas del Valle a disfrutar y aprender sobre la naturaleza a través de excursiones familiares guiadas por un intérprete bilingüe. Nuestro objetivo es aumentar la participación y la visita de las familias latinas en los parques. Esto lo hacemos a través de mejorar el acceso de espacios naturales y ofreciendo recursos y eventos en español. Nuestros eventos son gratis y también ofrecemos transporte por Uber para facilitar la visita al parque. Creemos que las visitas a la naturaleza mejoran el bienestar físico y mental, fortalecen las conexiones familiares y inspiran a las personas a convertirse en defensores de su entorno y su comunidad. All right, hello, the Springs community. My name is Mario. I am a program assistant for Senderos Naturales, our bilingual programming at Sugarloaf Ridge State Park, managed by Sonoma Ecology Center. We invite Latino families in the valley and the county at large to enjoy and learn about nature through our bilingual-led nature hikes. Our goal is to increase our visitation and participation of Latino families in the parks. And we do this by removing barriers to access, like such as cost of entry and transportation. And so we do this by offering our events in for free and in Spanish. We believe that nature outings improve mental health, physical well-being, brings families together, and inspires people to become defenders of their community and their environment. Next slide, please. Oh, next slide. Thank you. Nuestros próximos eventos incluyen este sábado, el 17 de enero y el 7 de febrero. Vamos a aprender sobre los hongos y el mundo maravilloso y extraño de los hongos. El otro es el 7 de marzo, también en sábado, y vamos a aprender sobre las herramientas para identificar los aves. Y guarda la fecha para el 26 hasta el 28 de marzo. Tenemos un campamento con la luz y para el vacaciones de la primavera, la registración es limitada. So upcoming events include this Saturday, January 17th, February 7th. We're going to talk about mushrooms and learn about mushroom identification. And after that, in March, we're going to have a bird watching hike where we're going to learn about the tools to use to identify birds in the park. And please save the date for the 26th to the 28th of March. We have a spring break camp out for families, and registration is limited, so keep your eye out for that. Si quiere más información sobre nuestros programas, por favor usa el enlace de sugarloafpark.org, y también puede ver nuestros eventos en nuestros perfiles de Facebook y Instagram. If you're looking for more information about the Senderos Naturales program, please visit our website, sugarloafpark.org. You can also visit our social media profiles like Facebook and Instagram, Sugarloaf Ridge State Park, and at Sugarloaf Park. Thank you very much for your time.
Questions from
I have a
council member?
question.
Yeah.
Just a
I have a
question.
question.
So just for information purposes, is an age limit, so it's only for adults, children? You offer transportation that they have to be accompanied by an adult, or how?
That is a great question. So our program is for all ages.
Mhm.
It's primarily for Spanish-speaking audience, because that is where parks lack resources. So that's why we're making that available. And so as for transportation, you can ask us anytime, or during the registration, it asks you if you need transportation to the park. And generally, if we're offering transportation, they would have to be accompanied by an adult. So usually minors under 18 come with their families, and then anyone else is welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question too. Does Park RX still exist for Sugarloaf?
Yes, Park RX still exists. So for those who don't know about Park RX, it's a program at Sugarloaf Ridge State Park where you can get a prescription signed by a healthcare provider. It doesn't have to be a doctor, it could be any healthcare provider like the Sonoma Valley Community Health Center. And you can get access to free events, so such as hiking for fitness, yoga, hikes, forest bathing. All of these are for your well-being. And so this prescription is to show people and encourage people that visiting the parks is good for your health, and your healthcare providers want you to visit the parks. And so next time, I'm happy to bring information about that.
Thank you. And just want to clarify that that's for everybody. It's not
And
just
yeah,
for Spanish.
Park RX is for everyone. We especially encourage the senior population to join these programs, because we even have a hike like slow journeys, so people can go at their pace. There's a million programs at the park for anyone. So please visit our website and you'll find something that you like. Any other questions?
Thank you, Mario.
Thank you, guys.
Neither. No. Thank you, Mario. Okay. So if there's no other questions, comments, we will close item 4.2 and continue with consent calendar, which basically we'll be discussing the approval of minutes from December 10th, 2025. And also, if we do have any public comments that came through via email, they will be read. So I know that we all should have gotten the emails, the minutes electronically. So if I can get a motion to approve the minutes from December.
Move to approve the minutes from December 10th, 2025.
If there's a second,
I second.
okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And now we will continue with, let's see, do we have any public comment, Betsy, through email?
None.
None? Okay. Okay, let's see. So we will now be moving towards, so we will be adopting something similar to what the Board of Supervisor does, which is a significant items calendar. just so we can get the priorities for this year, for this current committee for the 26th or 2026 rather. And so we will be looking right now at just some topics, and we will be looking at what do we identify as key items for discussion, for advocacy. And so we will be having an open discussion on what are some of the topics that would be that you'll consider a priority for the Springs. And so just as mentioned, here are some topics as we have, like, for example, housing issues, just transportation infrastructure, which includes the beautiful roads, budget, emergency preparedness, or just resiliency, climate change, public safety, as well as any other community services or equity-focused programs. And I think now there is also just a breakdown, a visual breakdown of the different topics. Do you want to show the next one? Let's see if it's, yeah, the one afterwards where it says forming the Springs priorities. Just, I think that's more visually. So here you can see as the alignment between just the process that the county does, what the MAC will do, and then to be able to specify priorities for the Springs. This will also, we do want to remind you that the significant items agenda will actually be happening in Sonoma for the Board of Supervisors. I believe it will be, Katie, if you can, Jenny, is it February something?
February 3rd, we believe.
February 3rd, yes. And it looks like it will be happening at the Veterans Building. So we will have more information that will be both available at the Supervisor Hermosillo's office with Betsy, Supervisor's Facebook, as well as the Springs MAC Facebook. So here we have some topics, and as mentioned, we can look, do we want to focus on 3 of these topics? Kind of looking at, based on what we're seeing now, what would be some of the our priorities? And don't be shy, so we'll open it to discussion.
Just for clarification, because I'm a relatively new member. So these are subjects presented by our supervisor or general supervisors?
No,
Offices?
no, these are,
Districts, I mean.
no. So these are just general topics, just overall. So these are not guided by the supervisors. These are topics that we have discussed, and they just have been placed or grouped, so they're easier for us to choose on what are the things that we want to focus on.
Okay.
So for example, at community spaces and parks, I think maybe that will be one of our priorities, because we want to be, we've been, advocating for Larson Park, and we'll be wanting to work on a celebration, so forth. So what ideas do you all have?
So when we are talking about the event, or like, for example, the market that we have on the Boy Spring, is that part of the community space?
Could be community spaces also, because that area is a community space, and it's a neighborhood vitality as well. And again, this is like more for ideas discussion. We will be bringing this, to the next meeting to finalize any topics, so that we know what we will focus for this year. Just make it easier for us to guide us.
So I don't know, but like talking to my colleagues
Mhm.
at the mission and living around, I feel like public safety is a big one. I have a lot of colleagues that are concerned when they park their car and after they have to cross to the mission, and at night it can be a little bit a challenge on the Highway 12.
Because of the traffic or the lighting or just in general?
In general, like there is some situation with people doing crazy stuff.
Okay.
In the area that concern my employee, my
For employees, okay,
I would say also the pedestrian part.
okay,
Make it more easy, more fluid, that people
yeah,
want to walk
yeah.
the street. And the community, like the event part to animate this Boy Spring area and
Yeah.
the parks around. I think it's how we create connection together. And
Yeah.
this is from where it all starts.
Yeah, no, I think those are great ideas. Would you all consider that maybe public safety and the transportation, those two should be together more? They,
Yeah, I feel you have a very good point, because when I say when I say transportation, it's people need to be safe to be able to walk, to go from
for pedestrian safety is, yeah,
to go to the spread, to go to the business that are around, to like just you want to go with your partner at the restaurant and don't feel that you are pressured to enter after a certain.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I will not
Yeah.
say kill, but you can.
And we will be having public comment after discussion, so we'll be opening. So if anybody has any ideas or comments, but go ahead, Councilmember. Those are great points, Councilmember Karim. So I would note, Betsy, perhaps if we can join the public safety with the transportation together.
Well, can I point out that I think that public safety in the case of fire preparedness is safety during emergency. And transportation, pedestrian safety and infrastructure seems to be related more for, pedestrian walking, safety in areas and all that. So I think there are two very
Separate?
separate
Okay.
things. One is public safety during emergency and fire and, I think they're two separate
Two separate?
topics.
Keep them separate.
I would, because one is for emergencies and the other one could be
Just day-to-day safety.
transportation, pedestrian and safety in general as they are walking the streets, as safety in your community, safety during daytime, nighttime. And, that could include how to address situations that are unsafe that need addressing.
Okay, I agree. So then from what I'm hearing, then definitely the pedestrian safety and public safety are two important priorities that we consider would be one of our priorities.
We can clarify that we also community, transportation, pedestrian safety and infrastructure. And I don't know, because that seems more like in transportation, but in general, community safety or
Yeah, infrastructure is basically like from streets to lightings and everything, so.
So it seems like what he's alluding to is more of mitigating, in general, community safety, or from maybe, are they experiencing, you were saying that there has been some incidents of people not feeling safe, or people maybe doing car theft, because that's kind of like a different issue. Yeah.
Is it when they're walking to their cars from work,
Exactly.
correct?
It's really like and thank you for the translation a little bit for me. Yes, it was not that much about the emergency protocol. If in case of fire, in case it was really like the day-to-day safety to allow people to go to the restaurant without being concerned at what time they will come back home, to allow even guests of the hotel that are bringing new money to the area to tell them, okay, you can go to El Molino, you don't have, and when they come back, they don't meet weird people. with
So that-
special behavior.
Right, we can address that. Yeah,
The
sorry.
the culture of who are the Boy Spring, which is a welcoming area.
And it almost seems like that would it include maybe, because it seems that we're also looking at, patrolling and the area or that sort of
Like a
service.
neighborhood watch thing.
Neighborhood
sort of.
watch, or who would, like if someone wants to feel safe to walk to a certain place, to a restaurant, like you're saying, who's in charge of the community safety? There's neighborhood watch, yes, but we're talking of the business district area of the Springs.
Mm.
And incidents of that nature. I don't know. Does the Mission Inn have like security?
Yes.
But that's only for the hotel, not beyond.
Yes, they are not allowed to, like, for obvious reason, legal, etc. They cannot be in charge of what's happening outside of the land.
And that's a great point. Now they said the business district. I think where would we be able to add, Betsy, like economic development? Because I think that's one thing, or business development that we
That
had.
would be more
Economics. So I think maybe the one that says economic pressures and quality of life impacts, can maybe we add
and
economic
community safety.
economic development, economic and business development, I guess.
Well, one of the things, and I think one of the things that I would like to have in the agenda, because it does tie into safety around that area, it's because we have certain buildings that are, right now, what would you call them?
Nuisance or?
Right, so it tends to breed, people hanging out in these places or homeless, finding shelter and that sort of thing, unfortunately. And I mean, the Mission Inn has that whole building too that is completely closed off. That does not help in a healthy, vibrant community to have people coming and going. I think part of that we need to address in the Springs, that's at the heart of the Springs, is these problem areas that we have due to
So that definitely think those problem areas that
the
are
public
impacting,
building
yeah.
one of 'em.
And potentially we can ask for a update of the sale of those
Yeah.
buildings, because
Or request
at least they're on sale.
dining or request something that will make the community safe, but unfortunately, that's part of the problem.
Okay. So would
And
we?
the previous business, and I don't know what the
Yeah.
Mission Inn is planning for that. Do they own that?
Yes.
So kind of?
Yes, so it's not empty. Like we are renting it. It's a meeting place. So
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Oh,
It's on the outside.
You mean the big three?
yes,
Okay.
it's completely stripped it. It's a new roof, new boiler, new
Okay, so it's
AC,
being improved.
Okay.
new painting, new carpet, and we are doing events inside. We are renting it. So
That's great to know. So if can we bring back the page with the different squares? So because I don't think all the members have
Economic.
this page.
quality of life in.
Yes, and once we finish discussing here, we will open to public comment, okay? So if you're here or listening on Zoom, be prepared with your comments and ideas. Okay, Betsy's working on.
And that would be infrastructure as well, because we're talking, I mean, well, that's the park spaces, and that's the
Yeah.
temporary park is part of that area, and that's
Okay.
an ongoing.
Yeah.
That's been ongoing.
So would we consider that all these topics are a priority, and maybe some are higher priority than others, like top priority, middle priority, low priority. Because I think that they're all some kind of priority. Definitely with the housing stability, I know that Midpin housing will be opening this summer, so we definitely do want to bring in Midpen to talk about the leasing, and that's another issue there for pedestrian safety because of the increase of residents that will be living there. So do we want to rename anything? I was thinking, for example, like the economic pressures, maybe it's the economic development. And maybe I was thinking the pressures and quality of life impacts would go more with the essential services. I would maybe say more basic essential services impacts. But just because I remember that when we did the priorities the last couple of months, economic development became one of our top priorities, and how can we make business better in our community.
Wouldn't that be access to food, health, and essential services?
No, I'm talking about like the businesses. Where could we add business development?
Yes.
Yeah, so I think that that's definitely missing. Where would you recommend that it be added or can be reshuffled, some words?
Is that going to neighborhood vitality? For example, we have one of the famous
Okay,
Highway 12 that's now will close.
so what do you all think that maybe say neighborhood vitality, what could it be, neighborhood and business vitality? Think these are just some ideas that we're writing down.
So Chair, I'd like to
Yes, go ahead.
recommendations. I think we kind of went through an exercise that we came out with 2 items that we haven't completed that need to be put back up on there, whether, the category where it is, we focused on getting a business directory so that the Springs knew the businesses or how we can support the businesses. And then the other one regards to housing or social services was a list. I believe it was a list of available services that are available in the Springs. So I think those 2 should be focus areas that really have a time frame. And when I look at the different subtopics, we can change the titles, but for like each month, if we were able to say, we're going to focus on this topic during this month. So like emergency preparedness, September is National Disaster Preparedness Month. We know that leading up to September, we're going to identify things that we can accomplish that month or program out for the next year. In regards to transportation pedestrian safety, we have a punch list of recommendations that we did with Caltrans. I still have issues with just even striping of lanes throughout the county, even roads. But, if there is Public Works Month, maybe we use that month to celebrate Public Works, but also identify the things that we want to recommend, because as a body, we're receiving input from the public, and we're making recommendations to supervisor to help get it resolved through through the county. Access to food, health, essential services. Given what we are going through, what we did with SNAP, again, what can we as a body make recommendations on to do that? Quality of life impacts, economic pressures, that's still going to continue. We're going to see further cuts from the feds. So, but what are we as a body recommending to the supervisor to address some of those issues? Or do we take a month to say, to highlight any of the issues that we're seeing in the Springs and giving either, if we don't have any recommendations, we're identifying problems, we're writing a white paper to say, this is how we want to approach things. How do we get the resources through partners with Sonoma City or the state with Caltrans so that we can at least start addressing key issues. The parks, that space is always going to be there until we do a launch of Larson Park. But, if you look at that title, it's neighborhood vitality. So what does that mean? Whether it's other parks, we're talking about the Springs Plaza. So all of those items are things that we've been talking all year long, but maybe to help this body is pick a month and making sure that we address any of those topics in a month. So there's 6 topics, maybe we do one, we start in February, 6 months later, we follow up to see what progress we have or what feedback or what letter that we need to write to the supervisor.
Any other comments from council members?
Right. I mean, those are topics and it could include like in the community spaces, parks and neighborhood vitality and the safety of these parks. And we could discuss that later. It doesn't mean that if it's not there, we're not discussing safety.
Because it's like an overall, it's included in within. Yeah, so I think from what I'm hearing is that we all agree that all these topics are important. We're just looking at what the approach would be on how do we do it each month, or do we do a couple, and what's the method? Do we write letters? Do we have an event? Do we participate in activity? And just in terms of the project, the ad hoc that Teresita and I have, with the creating the business and the resource directory. So today, Teresita and I are not leaving until we set a time, date, and we have a bionico because I've been craving one in our meeting, and we discuss the creation of the directory for the social services and the businesses in the Springs. So definitely that's something that we need to finish because we know it's something important.
Through the chair.
Oh, great, Betsy. I was just going to ask you for your.
Yes, so this is a great conversation. Thank you so much for engaging. I do also know that Supervisor Hermosillo is really interested not only in the consideration of understanding the significant items of the BOS, but also understanding what those significant items for the spring, specifically, for example, it was the lighting and decorating of the plaza. So that should happen in December. So when in the calendar would we be talking about that so that we can anticipate that? Or other events, other things that you guys have seen reoccurring that we can add to the calendar so you can foresee and make sure that those conversations happen. I can add it to the agenda and that sort of thing.
Yeah. Thank you. And thank you for clarifying, Betsy. I think this is the first time that we're doing it this way, at least in the time that I've been on the MAC. It's very helpful, but definitely a new idea for all of us. So then from what I understand, Betsy, is that then you would like us then to do recommendations, whether, as I mentioned, whether it's we write a letter, do an event regarding this, and then set up times or months that we would recommend that this occurs, like the lighting for holidays, rather.
Right, exactly.
I think just to be clear, so we're looking to agendize the year. And so when do we have the conversation of the Christmas lighting? That would be October, Yeah, so just start to create a calendar where these topics will be addressed.
Yes. So, Betsy, I don't know, this is
a reoccurring one.
yes. So I guess idea, and I don't know if the councils agree. For the next meeting for February, could we have an actual, like a calendar, like a template? And then we can print out this list for everybody, and then we can work on the calendar together. Do like a projected calendar. Of course, things sometimes change.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can also have, yeah, we can have it showing. I know that this is coming up, but these are the dates. Where? Nope. So these are possibly the dates, right? There's going to be, so these are the dates. coming
yes.
up, And then these, and you can think about.
Yes, that's going to be a separate topic. Yes. Just whichever our next meeting is, or maybe even if we have to do a special meeting, depending on the outcome. So one of our next agenda items will be to consider if the MAC wants to meet every other month. If the MAC votes to meet every other month, then we would not meet in February. But if the MAC decides to continue meeting monthly, then we will be here February. So I do want to state that in that case, to do the calendar, I don't know if March would be too late, if we can have a special meeting just to do the calendar. If in case the MAC votes to meet every other month.
Well, that is what Councilman Don was suggesting, or partly suggesting, if we have certain topics to have
No,
already.
No, I'm talking about literally that there would be no MAC meetings, that we'd only have MAC meetings 6 times a year.
Oh, is that up for discussion? Is that
Yes,
something new?
yeah, that's what I was trying to mention.
Well, that's going to limit the amount of stuff that we
Yes, and
accomplish.
yeah, again, that would be based on our decision tonight to see if we want to meet every other month. It was discussed with prior chair, Ituri. We're just bringing it back in case it's something of interest to the current MAC members. It's nothing set in stone. We're just putting it into voting to see if it's of interest. It's not something that we necessarily have to do. But but the idea then would be to nonetheless work on a calendar based on these topics. So whichever our next meeting is, whether it's a special meeting or a regular meeting, then we would have to do to work on a calendar. Yes. Okay. So let's see. So as mentioned, this is only receive only, but we will, if will continue to the next meeting. If there's any other comments from council, otherwise we'll move to public comment in person and on Zoom. Councilmember Dong and then Councilmember Fernandez.
Yeah. I don't know if we can provide some recommendations to staff to just so when the next meeting occurs, that we actually have something physical in front of us, and just using the concept of, let's just take those things and say we're going to do this on a calendar so that it can be received in advance and people can think through this. And if there's a possibility of reducing the number of meetings, we're going to look, as long as we have it up on the calendar, and if there's a reduction of meetings, we move the items back up to the meeting prior to, so that we can just get stuff up on the wall, it sticks. So like I said, public safety or transportation, when is public works month? And I think that's like May or April. I know that public disaster preparedness, we should be talking about that in advance. So if there's an August meeting to say September is disaster preparedness month and we don't have an August meeting, then we're putting it on July. So we're making our announcements well in advance. So is it possible to do do we have the time to even just throw something up that it can be sent out in advance of the next meeting as just to start the idea and discussion?
Absolutely. I can work on that.
Councilmember Dong, Councilmember Fernandez, Vice Chair, I'm so sorry. Forgive me, know that.
Well, it's just a comment, because really the amount of meetings, it depends on the need. So it's hard to tell right now. Yes, less meetings, great, but the need is what determines the amount.
And I have exactly the same perspective as you. Do you have a comment, Councilmember Karim?
Yeah, and I will agree even more if we want to work on the sixth one. So that way, I think there is a lot of, it's a lot. So if we see each other only every 2 months,
It's hard, yeah.
even every month, I think it's a lot. So
Yeah.
I don't disagree to have also perhaps some streamline and focus on stuff that we want to achieve, even if it is smaller. But if we achieve it, we are going to get somewhere. If we try to battle all those 6 elements or more, we are not enough, in my opinion. If we want to do something that we achieve, that we finish one day.
Yeah.
So that's why
Yeah.
I will be more like, let's try to keep it to start every month just to see how it go, and perhaps to restrict some of this topic with what the people who really want to work on the Boy Spring, because there is too much. Like, we have to be honest.
Yes, there is.
Do you want to close this item so you can go into conversation about the calendar? There are some points that Supervisor Hermosillo has sent for that.
Okay, yes. So would it then be in the priority topics, correct? Is that that section for the calendar, the 6.2? Or,
You mean for the calendar?
yes,
So you would close the first topic, but with public comment, of course,
yes.
which was this one.
So then, I was just looking at the agenda to where that we would discuss the calendar and which item.
Oh, I think it was 7.
Okay, because we
Yeah,
still.
it was 7. So yeah,
Okay,
you still have
because
to close
we are
162.
No, we're over here. Yeah, 6. Yeah, okay. Okay. I see.
So I believe you agreed that you would talk about the
Oh, you're talking about the
significant-
calendar for the MAC itself, not for these topics, correct?
Yeah, not for these topics, yeah. Significant items calendar. That's a
Okay, 'cause
6.1.
So it is 6 point. Okay, I'm a little confused because it's the calendar for this, for these topics. Or for the calendar, the main calendar for the MAC.
Well, that one's going into number 7, because I know that there's some comments about how many meetings you want in a year.
But this is totally separate too.
Yeah, this is separate.
I just want to clarify
If
that.
you wanted to
6.1
close that.
is purpose to review anticipated county board of supervisors agenda items affecting the Springs and identify key months for MAC discussions and advocacy.
So it'd be 6.1, so it is this topic that we're in. So wouldn't the calendar be part of this conversations in the 6.1? Let's see. Okay.
Yeah, so the Board of Supervisors is going to bring on in the February meeting their significant items, their calendar for significant items. Your significant items would be, for example, what you were just saying, Councilman Modong, around the month.
Mm-hmm.
Public Work Month, for example, if that's what you wanted to pick for the Springs calendar.
Yeah, I
And
guess
then
that's what
also
I was
the lighting.
recommending. Is there any way that we can do the calendar in
Right, yeah.
in February?
Yeah, so this is just a opening topic for you guys to start thinking about, and then you would bring it into
Mhm.
the next meeting for voting. Now, just to consider,
Mhm.
note that we won't have quorum for next meeting because Councilmember Dong will not be continuing, and then Councilmember Henderson is getting surgery.
Okay.
And so we won't
Okay, so it looks like we won't have a February meeting at all anyhow because we won't have quorum,
We won't have-
correct? Okay, so then our next meeting is going to be March anyways,
Right.
unless things change, if we get more members for February. So I just think that in terms, I'm not sure, do you all feel comfortable in doing recommendation? For me, it would be easier if I saw like a template of months, and then if we have, everybody had the page as mentioned, and then that's easier for them to then be recommending the items.
Yeah, and also as mentioned, what we could do this through email as well. I can send over the template beforehand. You can think about it. You can even send me, we can pre-fill it. I mean, however it is, this working body could absolutely utilize me and staff to continue the work outside of this room. And while, so it doesn't necessarily have to be that when you are here, the work happens, we're here to support the work as
Yes,
well.
Vice Chair Fernandez.
Oh, well, I don't know because of the Brown Act, but is it possible to gather as members and have a discussion on our own without a formal Brown? No, we can't do
No.
that. Okay.
No. Unless it's a special meeting, then we would have to have it as a public meeting.
Okay.
So then we would have to do it through email and send everything to you, and you put everything together.
Exactly.
Correct?
Right.
So I think that's the best thing that we could do, just so we're clear. I know this is a lot of information at one time. So I think just, and to make decisions, tonight or even to even draft ideas. I think it's also a lot of information. So I think that we'll potentially, but we still need at least, can you check with legal counsel to see how many people we need to do at least one, can we create an ad hoc?
That's what I was about to suggest.
And then would it be possible for the ad hoc to meet because it's only 3 people? Can we put this, somehow make it an ad hoc to work on this?
Yeah, that's a great idea. The only thing is that we don't have it agendized.
Okay, yes, I think the best thing is if you can check with legal counsel with Supervisor Hermosillo on what's the best next step if we don't have quorum for February and we have our next meeting into March. Is there any way, whether it's in the public or in person, that we can meet somehow?
It is, yeah, and I could definitely
Otherwise, we'll have to wait till March.
confirm with them, but it is my understanding that we will need to create a new date or decide on a date that works as a special meeting date for that to happen, or we could work through email and do the work.
Yeah, otherwise we'll just have to wait to do it in March.
Otherwise, yeah, we can continue doing the work throughout this time and then
We
until
can do it
March.
through
and then
email
make-
and then just put everything together in March.
and make the voting in March, yeah.
Okay, well, thank you for everybody's patience. I know it's a lot of information. Is it okay if we go to public comment regarding this?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we'll go to public comment in person and then on Zoom. You have any comments regarding, you can go ahead you can go to the podium, please. Sorry. Thank you, appreciate it.
And please state your name again. Thank you. Oh, can you turn on the mic, please?
My My name is Lynn Sherrard Stewart, and I'm in Fetters Hot Springs. I mean, it seems like all those things that are listed, you guys have been working on pieces it. So my opinion would be, and rather than looking at the topic, is look at what you're doing, what you can expand on, and maybe add a couple little other projects, because that's a lot of stuff, but they're all really important. So it's like, it sounds like you're kind of isolating the year, but it should be based on what's been going on. And then like Mr. Dong was saying, what's future? You know, because if you're making a list of businesses already, that's a great thing. That needs to be completed, right? So that was my feedback.
Yeah, this is more for organizational purposes so that we are handling maybe one or two things at a time and not being
that-
overloaded. It's more for organizational purposes. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Any other public comment in person or in Zoom? No, nothing on Zoom? No? Okay. Again, thank you for everybody for the ideas. And so we will then await Betsy's email with information and then with a template for a calendar where we can do a draft calendar based on the topics. Would you all say that having maybe no more than one or two topics per month based on the agendas? And I think as Councilmember Dong mentioned, you know, it can be as simple as taking action with a support letter, correct? So it doesn't have to be much a big task, but rather something that's can be impactful in a small action, but mighty. Okay. Let's see. So now we are going to go to so the 6.2 included this, I know, yeah. Yes, thank you. I appreciate it. So we're closing item. There's no more public comment. We are not going to be going into then 7, which is just confirming the MAC meeting schedule for 2026. And these are the options, which the only reason why Supervisor suggested was because I know at one point there was a suggestion of having meetings every other month. Some MACs meet every other month, some MACs meet twice a month, some MACs just meet once a month, like we do currently. So open it to discussion on what options you'll prefer, kind of from what I was hearing. And something that I agree with is keeping our meetings as is. But I don't know what ideas are out there open to discussion. So Member Dong and then Vice Chair Fernandez.
So what, part of the discussion that we had, maybe it was in the budget year about maybe there's going to be some budget constraints on staff's time. As we moved into this location, I think there may have been a reduction on cost to hold the meetings. Because it does cost money to have translators, or we're paying the school district to use their room, so I don't know if there's a reduction. But the other thing, I think having meetings monthly can put a lot of strain on D1 staff especially. What I was going to suggest previously was that you look at maybe one summer month break and maybe a winter break. Then you still have 10 meetings a year, but when we'll look at or our meetings are at the beginning of the month, but some places do a summer or city councils and maybe some other county governments may do 10 meetings or a reduction of meetings during like in August and maybe in December. So that's just food for thought. I think doing only one meeting every other month may be limiting. And given the number of topics, it probably requires more than once every 2 months.
Chair Fernandez.
I don't think every other month is a good idea unless it's a budget thing. But in terms of this body, I think a once a month meeting, maybe with an exception of a month or two. Yeah, I think, yeah, there's a lot of topics of discussion and for to be efficient, the MAC to be efficient in this body, I think the more, the better.
No, I personally agree, and I just do want to clarify that this idea and the follow-up of this idea is not from the current supervisor. It was something that was mentioned in the tenure when it was in the former supervisor. So I do want to make clear also that it has nothing to do with the budget. This is just because at one point with the former chair, there was a one point discussion in about doing meetings every other month. And so that's where this is rooting from. Do just want to clarify that it's nothing to do with the current budget, which, however, thankfully, we are here now, which is great because we are very thankful to the school district for the support that they gave us for those years. We're also very thankful for the interpretation that we did. And as mentioned, the policy is now, if someone does require interpretation, Spanish, we are asking at least that they do request at least 3 days before so that we can have an interpreter available. Otherwise, the videos should, subtitles should be in Spanish as well. So we are, making, I guess tweaks, fine tuning here and there. But just do want to make clear that has nothing to do with budget. Councilmember Karim. And I think you had mentioned already that you prefer that it stays the same. Is that what I understood? That every month?
Yes, and while also I'm new, so I'm also learning, so it's a good class for me as well. If I want to progress, I need more repetitive meeting.
Okay, yeah. I agree also not changing it to every other month. I don't know how, Betsy, what would the motion be that we make a motion after we take public comment that we do a motion to not change our meetings?
Right, somebody would make the motion,
Okay.
second, you vote.
So after council discussion, then we will now open it to public comment in person and on Zoom. So is there any public comment in person?
Through the chair, just really quick, also something to note that, also this is considering that Councilmember Dong will not continue, that we're also facing not meeting quorum many times, given the current council that we have, the current number. So just to push on getting more people either to commit as a council member or understanding that in the future, if we do stick with the whole calendar or every month that we will, we may need to cancel.
Yeah, and Betsy, I just want to clarify. So terms are, is it 2 years? Bless you.
Yeah, it's 2 years. Two council members have asked for extended time. I believe they asked until January. We have reached out and we haven't received confirmation that they will continue yet. And so that's still up in the air. And we do have Councilmember Henderson as part, but she's having surgery again.
Yeah.
So that's
So we kindly ask the community and we invite anyone in the community to join the Springs MAC. Just so you know, for us to have quorum, we need at least 4 members. The max that we can have, I believe, is it 7 or 8? 8?
8.
Okay. So that means if you can't make a meeting, you can't make a meeting, but as long as we have at least 4 members present. Also, you can be on vacation as long as you state that you're where you are. We will be jealous a little bit, but you can do also the meetings via Zoom as long as you let the staff know before that you cannot attend in person, but state your location to the supervisor staff, and then you will be let in through Zoom. So that's another alternative. So we kindly, ask you, it's, I think, based on the topics, we really want to respect everybody's time. We all work, we have other commitments, but we also care for the community, and we definitely want to make sure that the agendas are, I would say that they're time tolerable. At one point, our max used to be sometimes until like 9:30, 10. That does not happen anymore. And so, we definitely want to respect everybody's time and our own as well. And saying it for myself, and self-care for everybody, including myself. So please, if you're interested, call Betsy Chavez, a field rep for Supervisor Hermosillo, who's in charge of staffing the Springs MAC, or send an email to district1@sonomacounty.gov. So we invite you. So we will get through this. I know we're having some, I'm literally not just talking about this right now, but I'm saying about what we are foreseeing, and that we're looking for, for more membership so that we can make sure that we have at least 4 for quorum. So thank you again to the current council members, and for any future ones that decide to apply. So we'll take any public comment regarding this topic, either in person or on Zoom, before we make a motion.
None in Zoom.
None in person? Okay. So would somebody like to make a motion that we keep meetings the same?
I make a motion to continue our monthly meeting as much as possible.
I'd like to make an amendment to that motion. I'd like to specify that the meetings in 2026 will be January 14th, February 11th, March 11th, April 8th, May 13th, June 10th, July 8th, August 12th, September 9th, October 14th, November 11th, and December 9th. And there are no major holidays on those dates.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. And we're going to take a 5-minute little break, and then we're going to continue to item 8 for Supervisor Hermosillo's update. Fortunately, she is unable to join us tonight, but her staff will be giving her update. So we'll do a 5-minute break. Thank you.
Through the chair, so sorry. Can you repeat? Start again, please.
Yes, so thank you, everybody. We're back from recess. We will be continuing with item 8, which is Supervisor Hermosillo's update. And I may ask who will be presenting? Oh, Katie, okay,
Then,
perfect. Thank you.
not Supervisor Hermosillo, obviously, but I am happy to read her report. Okay,
Go ahead, thank you.
sure. I'm going to read it verbatim how she has it. I want to share a few updates from the Board of Supervisors that directly affect the Springs and Sonoma Valley. I'm going to stay focused on what's relevant to this community and leave out countywide items that don't have a local impact. Okay, first item, Cavedale Road reopened. Cavedale Road has officially reopened following major storm-related landslide repairs. This was an important project for emergency access, evacuation routes, and everyday travel for residents in the Springs and throughout the valley. The work included slope stabilization, a reinforced retaining wall, draining improvements, and guardrails, and it was designed to make the road more resilient during future storms. I know this closure was difficult for residents, and I appreciate the patience and coordination from the community while the work was completed. Storm emergency declarations, ongoing recovery. The board also extended local emergency declarations related to recent atmospheric river storms. While this sounds procedural, it matters because it also allows the county to continue accessing state and federal recovery resources for storm response, infrastructure repair, and emergency preparedness. Particularly important for low-lying and flood-prone areas like parts of the Springs. First District Community Investment Fund Awards. Yesterday, the board approved this year's First District Community Investment Fund Awards, which support many organizations serving Sonoma Valley and the Springs. These funds go to food access, youth programs, education, arts and culture, and basic needs. It's one way we're continuing to invest directly in local organizations that are doing the day-to-day work of supporting this community. Okay, next, regional collaboration. Belonging in the Bay. I also want to share that I'm continuing to participate in Belonging in the Bay, a regional collaboration focused on supporting immigrant communities across counties. I will be convening the next Belonging in the Bay meeting here in Sonoma Valley. We will provide a report back to this council at a future meeting. For now, we're keeping the details limited and focused on coordination and care. Next, board chair leadership. I also want to share that I recently was elected as chair of Sonoma County Board of Supervisors for 2026. This is significant for the First District and for communities like the Springs because it helps ensure that local priorities are part of the broader county conversation. My focus as chair will be on being responsible stewards of public resources, strengthening collaboration across county departments and with our communities, and making sure that everyone, especially communities that have historically been underserved, feel seen, heard, and respected in the decisions we make. I take this role with a deep sense of responsibility and with a continued commitment to working closely with the Springs and the Sonoma Valley. Next, continued emergency work on sanitation infrastructure, Sonoma Valley. At the January 27th board meeting, the board will receive an update and take action to continue emergency repair work related to the pipeline break within the Sonoma Valley County Sanitation District system. This item ensures that the county can continue stabilizing hazardous conditions while longer-term repairs are underway. This work directly affects infrastructure serving the Springs and Sonoma Valley, and the board's action helps maintain public health protections and environmental safety as repairs move forward. Next, sanitary sewer rate fee study, Sonoma Valley. The board will also consider authorizing a sanitary sewer rate fee study for multiple sanitation districts, including the Sonoma Valley County Sanitation District. This study is intended to evaluate long-term infrastructure needs and financial sustainability. Any future rate-related decisions would come back to the board for public discussion before being considered. Next, active transportation improvements on Highway 12, Sonoma Springs. The board will consider approving a cooperative agreement with Caltrans to continue project development for active transportation improvements along State Route 12 at Donald Gap in Sonoma Springs. This work advances planning and environmental review for safety improvements focused on pedestrians and cyclists. While this item does not authorize construction yet, it represents an important step toward improving safety and accessibility along this corridor. Next, supporting immigrant communities ad hoc transition. The board will receive an update on the Supporting Immigrant Communities Ad Hoc Committee. The ad hoc is transitioning from initial coordination into a more structured work plan and has invited key stakeholders to participate in a meeting next month. This next phase is focused on alignment, preparedness, and ensuring county efforts remain responsive and grounded while being thoughtful about safety and security. Next, closing, framing. This is an important moment for the first district, and I want you to know that the Springs remains a clear priority in my work as your supervisor and now chair of the board. Those are the key board updates that directly affect the Springs. We're continuing to track other countywide items, and if anything else comes up forward that has a local impact, I'll make sure it comes back to this council. What does serving as chair mean for the Springs specifically? It means greater visibility for first district priorities, stronger coordination across county departments, and a clearer path for Springs concerns to be raised and addressed at the county level. And I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. We will open to public, questions from council members first. Any questions? Council members for any of the updates from on behalf of Supervisor Hermosillo? None? Okay. Any public comment in person regarding the update from Supervisor on behalf of Supervisor Hermosillo? No? Is there any public comment on Zoom?
None.
None? Okay. If none, then we will then close item and we'll continue with item 9, council member announcements and request for future agendas. So in council member announcements, we will be doing a brief update on ad hocs. First ad hoc is the Springs Community Plaza. Believe, is it Teresita only?
Updates. Okay. Yes, I'm in the ad hoc and I don't have any updates unless there is a volunteer present that could share.
Do we have any updates from the Springs Community Plaza? No. Member Dong.
On the Springs Plaza, something that was supposed to come back to this body was the costing for the sign, because we were supposed to vote on that.
We already voted.
I think last time we decided that we were not going to go because we didn't, the amount of those signs. Am I correct, Betsy? Can you go ahead and give an update regarding that, please?
Yes, so Supervisor Hermosillo met with the artist, and it sounds like there was a cost associated with the art, each of the art options that were available. And I believe it was like $5,000. And so just looking at the budget and also considering that it's a temporary plaza, it's not, there's going to be a new location at one point that will need to be moved. The council moved to not vote on any of those and I think continue having the one that's currently there.
That is correct. That's what happened in the last MAC meeting. Go ahead.
Yeah, unless I'm remembering wrong, Yeah, we did not, we tabled the item. And the reason that we tabled the item was to get clarification. We knew about the cost of that one particular sign. And the question was, out of the budget. So there was, we just wanted, well, the motion that I made, I wanted confirmation on the cost. And whether it was going to come out of the dedicated funds for the Springs. Supervisor Hermosillo said it wouldn't come out of the Springs budget, but out of the Springs Community Improvement Fund, which only has 700,000, which was really dedicated for the Springs. So the motion that I believe I made was to come back with info so that we, if it really was going to be $5,000, how it was going to be funded, and then we would vote on the three that were shown to us. So that's what I recall.
If we can then get an update from the Supervisor Mosillo, I had understood that we were going to decide to not go forward with the signs because of the cost, and Supervisor Mosillo said that it was not worth it to invest the money because those signs were going to be taken down anyhow because this plaza was only temporary, and that money that is aside for the Springs Community Plaza, that it be invested for when it's a permanent. That's what I recall, but I'm not sure if I misunderstood.
Yeah, so it was only one of the three that were submitted that would cost money. But I thought that was still on the table. We were going to still vote on a sign for the temporary Springs Plaza, and I think that's still before
Yeah.
this body.
So if we can get a prior clarification from Supervisor Mosillo and then from the minutes from January 10th. And I do recall that two of the signs, each of them, 5,000, two of them are 5,000, and then the other one was because the artist did, I believe, two, correct?
No, no.
Or
no.
sorry, so
There's
go
only one sign that was 5,000.
5,000, and the other one was
a-
donated.
There was three signs, and the other one is the metal one, and the other one was the design that I submitted. And mine was only
Okay.
materials, it wasn't. the
Okay.
cost. It was a volunteer with the
So
materials.
I
But
will.
I remember Supervisor Mercier was discouraging from moving forward because of the situation being not putting energy and resources to a spot that was not going to be something worthy of.
Not, that is temporary. And pardon, I retract from what I said. At one point, the artist that was charging $5,000, before we made the initial voting to bring it down to just three signs, initially had two signs, and only one of them went through to the current three. So yes, currently it is only one sign, but before, when we had, I believe it was like 5 signs, there was 2 signs from this artist. I just want to clarify that mistake that I made and make my clarification.
So I'm just reading the minutes now. So the motion was to table item 9 until additional information received if funds are available from the Springs Redevelopment Fund. So it was tabled to this meeting.
Okay, thank you. So, but then Betsy, then we'll have to continue tabling it then until the next. And thank you for that clarification, Councilmember Dong. And yes, so that will have to be definitely discussed in our next meeting, if that happens either in
the chair,
potentially
so
until March. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we will, what I'll request is a meeting with McCall to review the budget and see where the funds come from. So we get that clear understanding hopefully we'll have that by the next meeting, which would be in March.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Adopt a Road. That is myself and Ms. Val Henderson, or Councilmember, sorry, Henderson. No current update. And then the next one is the Spring Small Business and Social Services Resource Guide that we talked about. So,
So let's set the meeting now.
I was just gonna say that. That's why I was gonna open my calendar. What days work best for you, Ms. Teresita? So Vice Chair Fernandez.
Monday, Monday mornings. I mean, it shouldn't take long. I mean,
No. Are you available next Monday by any chance?
yeah, sure.
I'm happy to do 9 o'clock on January 19, if possible. Perfect. I'll send you
Because it's on Monday,
location.
January 19th, but we're also meeting on the 20th. Maybe we could do it right after that.
Yes, we have meeting.
Because I come from, I still
Yeah.
at a distance.
Okay, maybe we can start conversation on the 19th. So that way we do our little powwow and we have our set goals on the 20th.
I'll call you.
Yes, okay. No, yeah, we need to be accountable and make
Yeah.
sure that we need. 'cause-
Thank you.
Yes.
We'll,
So that is the
19th,
the
thank you.
live update for everybody for this Springs Small Business and Social Services Resource Guide.
we're
Um,
back in next meeting.
Yeah, no worries. No, I'm sorry. Any questions from council members regarding this? And again, thank you, Councilmember Donk, for clarifying that. Memories is hard to remember. We had a long discussion, but I'm very happy that you had very good memory and that it was tabled for that reason and in the minutes. Thank you so much. Any public comment in person or on Zoom? Go ahead.
None on Zoom?
I know, sorry, it's the beautiful podium.
So what do you mean that it's a temporary space for the Springs Plaza? Is
So-
a plan in place?
The Springs Plaza, I'm not sure exactly how many thousands of monies set aside. But yes, when former Supervisor Gorin created it, it was just an idea that would be temporary for when it would be, officially potentially looking at the land next to it to see if it can be purchased, looking ideas on how to really invest into a truly real permanent plaza.
Oh, so still looking at that same area?
Yes, ma'am.
Just expanding it, like where
Yeah.
Patty's used to be?
It's just, it's, so right now it's temporary. They're looking at different ideas and what the future could be, what at then would be permanent. Go ahead,
My
Councilmember.
understanding, because she addressed this in the last meeting in Hermosillo, Supervisor Hermosillo, she felt, she doesn't feel that that's a worthy area right now as it is because it's a parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
She says it's a parking lot and that the community deserves better than just a parking lot. And that the idea that is why she was saying investing money in a parking lot is not her most ideal. So to reserve the resources for something that is more of a permanent plaza.
Right.
I think Supervisor Gorin, part of her desire was to create a plaza there, but it never materialized. So it was sort of like, okay, I'm going to, at least name it as a temporary
Right.
plaza. And that's what it's been. But Supervisor Hermosillo wants it to be more of a plaza, not a parking lot, where
Right,
we call it a
yeah.
plaza.
So the idea theoretically is it would be in the same area. It would just be fixed up and expanded and.
If it can be, if
And-
not, to identify a different location for it
Gotcha.
or something that would be more doable. In that event, in the future, would become a parking again.
Got
I'm just saying what she said the last meeting. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, that is a great leeway for future items. And because actually we cannot, this one has requests for future agenda items too. So any future agenda items before we close this item? So it looks like we definitely want an update, correct, about those buildings of what's happening? Is that one, some,
Discussing which will be ongoing, and it's important to know what's happening. And is there any motion to do anything with those buildings? Obviously, our hands are tied. It doesn't belong to anyone. I believe it might go into foreclosure
well, they're already on sale, correct?
and sale.
Yeah, they're already on sale.
Well, the post office.
Just, yeah, no, we cannot, it would have to be through public comment. But yes, so one of our future items is looking at the update on the former Matson buildings, correct? And wanting to get an update about that? Okay. Any other future agenda items that are
The
priority?
chair,
Yes.
we're also working on securing a update from Caltrans, having Jeff come in and give us a presentation.
That's right. And we have been advocating for the Caltrans presentation because specifically because phase 2 from Verano and Sonoma Highway was supposed to be completed in August of last year. And that phase 2 has not been completed. Phase 2 is technically adding the left signals on Verano Avenue. And one thing that we are advocating is that those signals happen before the mid-pin housing opens on Verano Avenue, so that there's better traffic signals before more traffic hits that area. Any other future items? If none, would you like to say something, Councilmember Dong?
I was waiting for the next item.
Okay. Okay, perfect.
Sorry, through the chair, we should also have an update on the utility boxes, because we will also be meeting with,
That's right. In
Ms.
March,
Gabe.
the artist is coming back from maternity leave, correct?
indeed.
So she's coming back in March. Yes, I do recall that. Thank you for that. Yes. Any other items? Otherwise, we will go ahead and, if there's no other public comment in person or on Zoom, we will close item.
None on Zoom?
No? Okay, so for next item is 10, which is adjournment. Here it does say that we have meeting on February 11th. If we are lucky to get at least 1 or 2 new members, we will potentially be able to do the meeting. Let's pray that happens. Otherwise, we'll be here in March. And I will let Councilmember Dong do the adjournment in his honor. You were waiting for next item. I will give it to you.
I move to adjourn this meeting.
Is there a second?
I second.
I second it. All in favor? Thank you, Mr. Dong, for everything. Councilmember Dong, we really appreciate everything. A round of applause. And again, thank you so much to our public present, all the presenters. In this case, it was more internal, just MAC members. But we had presenters and public comment, Sonoma TV for broadcasting and tech support, the Marie for minute taking. Thank you, Supervisor Hermosillo, again for this space, and to our Supervisor Hermosillo staff, and to ISD today, Ross, for all support. Yeah, thank you.